Jim, our next question was sent to CornyDriveThru@gmail.com from Jacob in Los Angeles. He sent a link here, wants to get your thoughts on Nick Dinsmore, aka Eugene, announcing he's going to have a retirement tour.
Oh, I just saw this on the internet yesterday, I think, and love Nick Dinsmore to death. Couldn't stand that Eugene gimmick. Thought it was an insult and embarrassment to a great young wrestler. It especially harmed us here in OVW because I think I've told the story before. And once a year, they'd run Nick Dinsmore's high school over in Indiana that he graduated from and actually spent some time there as a part-time or substitute teacher, whatever the phrase is. Every year, they'd sell 500 tickets to see Nick Dinsmore return. The year they took him up and made him Eugene, and then he came back, and Eugene was on the card. It drew like 250. I was like, who wants to admit this guy went to our fucking high school? You know, that was the only chance that he ever got was as Eugene. So now that's the way most people remember his name. So if he's going to do one more round, I guess he's going to be Eugene. And I like Nick, and I hate that it came to that, but I guess that's how he has to bill himself now for people outside the Kentuckiana area to know who he is.
And say what you want about Eugene, and no one can really, in good faith, give a good explanation as to why that happened. With that said, he got over with it.
Yeah.
I'm not excusing it, but he was a very talented guy that he did something completely radically different than anything he had done before, and he actually made it work. It's just that it was awful.
Well, it wasn't even awful. I mean, the gimmick at the base of it, but
at the base of what the gimmick is, it's awful. Yeah.
The reason why it got over, they weren't smart enough to realize and capitalize on and keep going, was the supposed idiot has to, in the end, outsmart everybody. That's what, and because of Nick's talent and his enthusiasm and the way he did it and blah, 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 and that's the way they started, that's why it got over. And then as soon as they started fucking with it and he wasn't outsmarting everybody, then it became bleh, and then it was done. And the reason why I didn't like it to begin with was because I knew it would have, proper booking or not, a short shelf life. And how are you going to, I said, regardless of however this lasts, it's not going to last too long because it's not something that's going to have a long life. But then how are you ever going to rehabilitate the person who played this part to do anything else ever again because he was only still in his 20s? And the answer was you couldn't, and they didn't, because you can't. So, and that's what happened to Nick's wrestling career. The best in-ring wrestlers we trained in OVW, people either never saw or they only saw for a minute. The second generation guys, the amateur athletes, and the guys with the bloodlines, they got the opportunities and they did quite well, but the actual just best in-ring performers never even got a chance to flesh out gimmicks or get more experience at a higher level or whatever because they were doomed from the start with the inanity of what they were given to do on television. And that's why all of the OVW fans, that was their biggest, without question, 2-1, 3-1. The biggest complaint when we would do our surveys, actual questionnaires that we'd hand out to our regular audience at the start of the night, they filled them out and they'd get a drink or whatever. Free picture. 2 or 3-1, it was, we hate that the WWE makes all of our favorite wrestlers look like idiots when they get on television. So that was that. So, Nick, and now Nick would be, Jesus, he's 70. He would be about 45. So he should have had a full-time career making pretty decent money for the last 20 years.